Look around you, John. What do you see?
Well, Grandpa, there's a hill over there. And I can see Aunt Mary's home over there on the right.
Yes, but can you see any trees?
Trees?
Or bushes or shrubs or any other tall plants?
No, I cannot see any.
And what can you hear?
I can hear. Wait, Grandpa. I have to listen carefully. No, I cannot really hear very much. Only the wind and some people talking.
Do you like this place?
Like it? Well, there isn't very much to like here, is there?
And does it bother you that there is nothing here for you to like? Would you like it to be different?
I don't know. It's always been like this. How could it be different?
Ah, but it used to be. When I was young, about your age, there used to be a big forest here.
A forest? Here? Where have all the trees gone?
I used to walk around here many times. How clearly I can remember what it looked like then. There was forest all around and a thick bush right here, full of many kinds of creatures. There were sounds of all kinds. The whole forest was alive.
Were there big animals too? Something you could hunt?
Oh yes, there were plenty of buck, especially impala, and we could go hunting them whenever we liked, usually early in the morning or in the late afternoon.
How did you hunt them? Did you have to follow their tracks?
We would scout around and find their droppings, and then we would use dogs to lead us to the buck. We had to go about it very carefully, treading softly between the trees, noting the direction of the wind so that the animals wouldn't smell us. And then, when we were close, we made a dash for the buck and killed them with our knob carries.
And was the meat good?
Very good. But it wasn't only the meat. The forest was full of other food. There were berries and wild fruits like matamba and hacha. You only had to climb up a tree to pick them.
It must have been fun climbing the trees for the fruit.
Oh, it was. You also had mushrooms and edible leaves and flowers like mukamba and gel. And the women liked to come to the forest and find different kinds of edible roots like munyela and chijonga for making derere. They were very good at finding all kinds. If anyone walking through the bush started feeling thirsty, they could look for a comifera plant to quench their thirst. And of course, there was honey in the trees too, different flavors, depending on where you found it.
So, honey had different flavors. I never knew that. Which flavors did you like best?
All of them, but especially munondo. Of course, a lot of the honey was a mixture, just a wild honey. It all tasted delicious.
So the forest was full of food. I could have eaten all the honey by myself. But maybe I would have been sick. Then my mother wouldn't let me go play with all the other children.
That would have been a pity. The forest was a marvelous place for the kids to play in. We used to play hide and seek, touch me, or we pretended to be hunters. You couldn't have had a better place for some fun.
Did only boys play here or did girls play there too?
Oh yes, the forest is something for all children, girls as well as boys. Sometimes the girls would play together with the boys, and sometimes they would play games on their own, or do useful things like making brooms for their mothers to sweep around their house, or maybe even for selling. The girls also had a special eye for beauty, and they liked to pick wild flowers for the house. Look at those women. See how small the bundles of wood are, which they are carrying on their heads. Mostly sticks. Hardly any solid wood at all. How long it must have taken them to go to find just those few twigs.
But it's always been like that here. Was there more wood in the forest then?
John, you are not thinking.
Oh, of course, Grandpa. Forests are made of wood, but I've never been in one. I just can't remember anything like that. So there was plenty of firewood then?
Yes, plenty. It didn't take the women long to get the wood. They would only had to go a little distance, a few minutes walk, and they would be in the middle of the forest. They could gather all the firewood they could carry in about half an hour or so. Not just little twigs like we saw just now that only lasted a day, but big bundles of thick wood that could easily last a week. They didn't have to worry too much about saving wood either. It was easier for women then, so very much easier.
And the men, were they busy doing something in the forest too?
Yes, quite often they were busy, just resting. It was so peaceful. It was easy just to relax under a shady tree after a hard morning sweat. And there was a pond here once, and a small river used to flow through the forest over there. Forests provided shade and kept the air cool, so the water didn't evaporate too fast.
Water? Right here?
Yes, we got all our water from the river and didn't have to depend on the boreholes and the wells. Our water was right on our doorstep. There was something else a boy could do here in those days. Something I am sorry you never had been able to do. I am talking about fishing. Can you believe that I used to fish at this spot? I once got a very big vundu here.
What's a vundu, Grandpa?
Ah, it's a sort of mud fish with long whiskers.
A fish with long whiskers?
Yes, it took me ages to pull it out of the water. I also caught a bream and other fish. And look at it all now. All silted up. No water at all, except maybe for a few days during the rainy season. But certainly no more fish. All the water is gone. All gone with the forest.
But why has the forest gone? What happened?
Well, at first we had a dense forest with plenty of wood. We cut a lot of poles for building huts and kraals and so on. And with more and more people being born, we needed more land to grow more and more food. So we cut down a lot of trees to make fields. The soil was rich and our crops did well. Then we needed more land for our cattle, so we cut down more trees to make pastures.
Cutting and cutting down trees all the time.
Yes, We were getting richer and richer all the time. You see, we thought the trees would just keep growing on their own without us having to do anything about it ourselves. And then one day, there were no trees left. The wind could blow freely and took away some of our soil. And when the rains came, there were no trees to stop the water from washing away more soil. Every year our fields got poorer and poorer until all we have left is what you see here now.
Oh, Grandpa, how could people have done all that? To have a lovely forest and use it all up for themselves? Why couldn't they leave some of it, even just a little bit of forest, for me and the other kids to play in? Grandpa, I want to get our forest back, and I want it now.
Well, one can't blame John. We didn't mean to do it, but we did destroy his forest, and he has every right to be upset about it. But we can have it all back. We have to rest the land. We have to restrain ourselves from overgrazing and overcultivating it. We have to protect it in every way we can. And we also have to plant trees. Do we have the courage and the willpower to do so?